Hi, this is John Morton, and I'm coming to you again live from my nursery at my house to bring to you my baby, which is 9th Space Cavalry. Man, I'm talking really great tonight, my baby. But it is my baby. And my baby actually has a starting point. Every story has to have a starting point, and mine starts with a Sirius affair. Now, Sirius affair, when you pick up the 9th Space Cavalry, a Sirius affair comes with it. It's either a feature film that will get produced kind of in conjunction with the series, or it's a flashback sequence in the series talking about where they started. And in either case, a Sirius affair starts at the very beginning. It's 3 years before the formation of the 9th Space Cavalry, when two things are happening at the same time. One is the Virgin River incident. Now, the Virgin River incident is this time when an Alliance ship comes into Earth core space. Now, to set this up, you have what's called governments, different governments. You have, for example, the theocracy, which would be like a religious government. You have the Alliance, which is kind of like a loose planet-to-planet government. And you have the Earth core government, which is a UN-type holding, which basically says they're a government, but they're a government that's based upon a contract, they're based upon a charter, and they exist to be basically a peace park so that the other governments don't go to war, destroy Earth, and in the process of destroying Earth, destroy the home that humans came from. It's like they have some respect for the home that they came from. Or they had no respect at one point, which is why you have the Earth core government. So it's this dynamic that shapes what you have, the whole Earth core government. And what happens is any ship that jumps into Earth core space is basically an act of war with all the other governments. So this is a very momentous moment when the ship called the Virgin River jumps into Earth core space. Now that's one whole storyline. Your other storyline comes from a planetary system called Sirius, which is pretty close to the Earth. It's about 10 light years, because everything within Earth core is pretty close to Earth, within 20 light years, because the Earth core government is actually defined as 20 light years from Earth. So 10 light years, you have a planetary system called Sirius, which is pretty close to Earth, and pretty close to a sector of space called Orion space, which is the unallied sectors of space. Without being able to define that much further, they don't have a central government. They're part of Earth core. Earth core has to defend them from the evil governments, which are defined as the other 6 governments. And basically anybody could take them over at any time if they really, really wanted to. So these systems go to a group called the cartels, which are drug dealers, gun runners, you're just basic bad guys, and said, we need ships to defend us because Earth core obviously is not going to do it with the 20 light year barrier. So they've developed their own ships, which is against charter. They're also illegal. And they've developed their own tactics. Well, one of the cartels, which is the Picard cartel, he's kind of a Frenchman. He does his own thing. And he's pretty his network of planets, or however you define his sphere of influence, is pretty close to Earth core, enough that he can jump in with his ships and take over Sirius. And so that's the other half of the Sirius affair. You have the Picard cartel and the takeover of Sirius, which is that storyline. and then you have the Virgin River and the Alliance jumping into Earth core, and that part of the storyline. Now, Sirius Affair is really how all of our people in Ninth Space Cavalry first, we're dealing with each other, where all of the dynamics of what happened to create the atmosphere that Ninth Space Cavalry did for these people. So our storylines basically converge on those two unique plots, which are in the Sirius Affair. They are connected. Just a spoiler for you. And by those two actions, we really have our dynamic. So when you pick up Ninth Space Cavalry, you're also picking up a Sirius Affair. You're getting a couple of main characters in a Sirius Affair that you won't see in Ninth Space Cavalry, which is Admiral Gates, which, well, okay, you do see him in episode 1, and Captain Oprah Ossipee, which you don't see in Ninth Space Cavalry at all. And these are two characters that I absolutely love, and probably at some point going to bring Oprah Ossipee back, maybe as a replacement for the president or something, because she's just that good. And Admiral Bannon, of course, is not Admiral Bannon in a Sirius Affair. Admiral Gates is still there, and he's probably going to move into a different role come episode about 2021 of Ninth Space Cavalry. So what you have in all this dynamic is the very, very beginning. Everything that makes Ninth Space Cavalry really came off of this. And when I wrote a Sirius Affair, its name was Earth Core Defense Fleet 1 at the time. And I said, it's been very, very recent. I think in my last video blogs I said, this is part of that movie. It really, the whole storyline coalesces around those. And so I thought to myself, and I said, I really need to rename it, and I really need to make some headway into it to make it part of the whole storyline. So it's, in the end, it's either going to be a feature film prior to Ninth Space Cavalry, or it will be a flashback sequence to Ninth Space Cavalry. And in either case, those episodes, those plot devices, all come together. So it's important to know the beginning. The beginning, of course, being a Sirius Affair. I hope by giving you this beginning, it makes you long for the Ninth Space Cavalry series.